Hidely hodily, YouTube. Can you hear that above me, the fan going? I have a fan remote in this room, but it won't work. So if I turn the light on in the room, the fan also comes on. And we're starting to get into fall weather, closer to winter. So I don't need cold in here right now. I've been looking at it, trying to figure out on top if there's a switch. I can just switch it off on the fan. And no luck so far. So I have a feeling, other than making these videos, this light isn't going to get used all that often. Anyways, I'm back with 5 things, and I'm wearing one of my hockey jerseys. Looking back at the last couple videos, I wore my very first 2 hockey jerseys. I only started playing ice hockey when I was in grade 12. So the dark red, mostly red jersey from a couple videos ago was my grade 12, my initial first year hockey jersey, and then the white one from last time was my second year in grade 13 jersey. So after I graduated high school, I stopped playing ice hockey for a little while I was at university. And but when I got back, after I graduated, after I got back to town and everybody was back, I started playing beer league hockey. So this was the first jersey of my beer league team, which was just some high school buddies as well as some other buddies mixed in. And we were called the eventual champions. Eventual is still going on, so and it will never happen because we don't play anymore. So the eventual never happened, anyways. But just giving you a little background on the jerseys I'm wearing. Now, let's get into the 5 things. We got 2 books and 3 video games this time around, and the books were excellent. First up, from the Forgotten Realms series that I've been delving into over the last several months, Realms of Valor. This book isn't part of a series or a trilogy or whatever, which they like to do a lot of in this realm of books. It's a standalone book, but it's not a full-length book. It's a collection of 11 short stories from various authors that have contributed to the Forgotten Realms series over the years, and this book was released in 1993. So it features a lot of the characters that you read about in the various different sectors of the Forgotten Realms universe. That Mirmeen Lal, she appears in one. Elminster, of course, the mage, appears in one. Drizzt, or whatever his name is, the dark elf, or whatever he is, he appears in one. So there's lots of characters you know and have read other stories about that appear in these adventures, and they're just brief little stories. A few of my favorites were Drizzt, or however you say his name, the dark elf. He got caught up in this village of people that wanted him to catch this, repel some ogres, I think, and then also catch this goblin that was giving this guy problems. And when he caught this goblin, he thought something's not right here, and he finally got to the bottom of, oh, maybe the goblin's not so bad, even though their species has a bad reputation. Maybe this one's not so bad. And in the end, it kind of turned into a very depressing story, as by the time he learned everything and wanted to help this goblin, it was too late. Let's just say that. Another one was this guy named Galvin, who I'm not sure what he is, but he has these magical powers. He was called to the tower of this old mage that was getting really old and forgetful. He had brought his granddaughter over to stay with him for a while, but he lost her, and his tower, his castle, or whatever it is so full of old relics and junk that she was very hard to find. So this guy had to track her down, and it's not so simple a job as he first thought, and it takes him on this bit of an adventure, which includes some undersea action, which was really cool. And then what was the other one? Oh, the other one was this guy and his apprentice were called in to free this village, or they weren't called in, but they were passing through this village. They knew it was a problem. There was a duke or something that ran roughshod over all the people in this village, and there was a curse apparently on this village, and him and his apprentice wanted to end it and make this realm safe again and leave one of them forever in that village to help maintain the peace after everything was settled. But of course, it's never as simple as the job first seems, right? So we got a bit of action in that one. So really cool. I read it. I've been reading the Forgotten Realms books based on the covers of the books, based on like, ooh, that one looks really cool, so I'm gonna save it for last, because that's what I do. When I eat my dinner, I eat the thing I like the least on the plate first, and so on until I'm finished with the thing I like the most. Some people say, well, what if you get too full? And it's like, you obviously don't know me, because I never get full. So not a problem. I do the same with everything else. When I'm playing games or reading books or whatever, I always save what I think is going to be the best for last, sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing with these books. And I thought, oh, this Realms of Valor, short stories, I thought it's probably not going to be that great compared to the other ones that are full-length stories and into series and stuff. But it actually turned out to be a really good book. I really enjoyed it. But the best book I read of these two books, a little something released in 1988 that I also picked up on the Thrift Books website, like I did all these Forgotten Realms books. And this series, though, I had no idea existed. And the book is called G.I. Joe, Divide and Conquer. So these are really thin. They're meant for kids. I've already done one similar to this, the Indiana Jones Choose or Find Your Fate adventure, kind of like the Choose Your Own Adventure style. I did one of those a while back. This is in the same kind of vein, even though it's not a Choose Your Own Adventure style book. It's still thin for little kids back in the 80s sort of thing. So, but I love G.I. Joe, you know, from my unboxings and stuff. I love G.I. Joe, right up there with Transformers and the Ninja Turtles as my favorite cartoons of all time. And the fact that I discovered these books all these years later and can now enjoy them as an adult, going back, reading this thing that was released in 1988, one of my favorite fucking years in the history of the years, was pretty awesome. So the story behind this one is that Mainframe, the G.I. Joe's like computer specialist, is hacking away in the pit one night, and he gets himself into a dangerous situation as he's trying to hack Cobra's computers, and he gets wind of something called the Ares device, which is basically a super weapon that will allow Cobra to basically enslave the world. So Colonel Hawk, or I think it was Hawk, it goes to Mainframe. That was pretty dangerous. You almost risked the safety of the Joes in the pit trying to get this information. So reprimand. But on the other side, thanks for the intel, right? So basically this Ares device hasn't been constructed by Cobra yet, and there's basically 3 microchips out there with various Cobra forces that contain all of the information on building this device. So the Joes mobilize to attack Cobra and get these 3 chips so that this project can't be completed and G.I. Joe can save the world once again, right? Just another day's work. So the team starts off as some of the newer Joes, actually, at this point. I can't remember if these characters were introduced in the G.I. Joe movie, animated movie from the 80s or not. I think some of them came from that movie, or were pretty close to the movie. We're not original Joe team members. They were later on. So we had Chuckles, the Disguise Master, Jinx the Ninja, and then Psych Out, who was like he dealt with like mind-fucking technology and that sort of thing. So the 3 of them are tasked on their first mission with going to, where was it? Some like maybe Nepal or something like that, up on a winter cliff base that was really hard to access. Up there were Crystal Ball, who was basically Psych Out's counterpart for Cobra. He uses mind fuckery and fake imagery to confuse and make his enemies go crazy. And Dr. Mindbender, who also dabbles in the mind fucking business. So they had to attack them and get the chip from Crystal Ball. Then they moved onwards to I think it was in the Everglades maybe, and they came up against Raptor, who commands his flock of raptors, Crocmaster, who obviously commands a flock of crocs, and then Big Boa, who's just a big brute with boxing gloves. Those were the 3 Cobra enemies when they went to the Everglades, and they had to battle them and gain the chip from them, and they also called in a reinforcement for that mission, and it was Outback? Pretty sure it was Outback. And then also Roadblock comes in as a reinforcement as well. So there ends up being 5 Joes on this mission as the time goes by. And then the last mission, the last mission was the Raptor one. The middle mission was Zarana, who was one of the Dreadnoks. I think she was Zartan's niece or something like that. And she's a disguise master like Chuckles. So she had the other chip, and they used Zarana's own disguise theme against her to try and gain the chip, which they eventually did. So in the end, they gain all 3 chips, save the world, and we get a lot of hot G.I. Joe on Cobra action in the process. So great book. There are more of these types of things coming. They're just going to be bouncing around a bunch against different themes of the books and different franchises of the books too, but I'm super excited to read them all because they are awesome. Okay, so the first of the 3 video games is something for the PS4, which was released in 2021, and it's R.B.I. Baseball 2021. Now, I played R.B.I. Baseball 17, I believe it was, on the PS4 several years ago, probably 4 years ago. Well, no, sorry, 4 years ago from this, not 4 years ago from now. But I really liked R.B.I. Baseball 17 because it was fast-paced, it was easy to play, and this game kind of followed that same formula. Really quick games. There's a mercy rule, so sometimes you can be over really fast. The action's hot and heavy, it's quick, it's easy, but it is glitchy. So R.B.I. Baseball, like some of the animations of the players in the field are like they go to throw and then the ball goes out, like they're facing the wrong direction and the ball goes sideways out of their hand to first base. Like it just needed a lot of extra polish in a lot of regards. But that's really the only problem it has. Otherwise, like, I compare it to games like MLB The Show, which is an amazing game, but I like more of an arcadey baseball experience over a pure simulator because I find the simulation games, they just take so long because you have all the in-between pitch commentary and cutscenes and whatever, and it just takes a long time to play the game. I just want pitch, 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 swing, swing, you know. None of the in-betweens. You know, I don't have time for that shit, right? So I find the R.B.I. baseball games are very good for that. They're very quick and easy to play, and I like that about them. It makes up for a lot of the subpar stuff that you get within the game. Now, in terms of the game modes itself, it's got the typical franchise mode where you can play a season with a team and choose to carry it over for up to like 10 seasons or something like that. You know, they've got, I think you can just do playoffs, you can do an exhibition game. They also have like the home run derby, which is a lot of fun. So they do have a fair amount of modes to keep you entertained. And you can also create players. So I did that on my season. I made myself, and because there were some things I could do with a creative player to earn some trophies, and I'm all about the trophies, you know that. So there is a lot of redeeming qualities to this game, and I did very much enjoy playing this game. It just, a little bit of extra polish would have gone a long way. It could have made this a fantastic series. And this was actually the last game in the R.B.I. baseball series. They have not brought it back. So the one thing I liked about this game, more so than R.B.I. baseball 17, I think I like R.B.I. baseball 17 better as a pure game as opposed to 21. But R.B.I. baseball 17 would always crash. It would always have one of those fatal errors in the middle of the game, and you'd be like, fuck, I lost all that fucking game. I have to play it again, right? It did that fairly regularly. Not regularly enough to make me want to stop playing it, but regularly enough for me to lose a lot of time playing it and to get somewhat pissed off with the game. This game did not do that. They at least fixed that problem. So that was something, right? Next up, a 2023 release, I believe it was, on the Nintendo Switch. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So this is the first, like, sides... Ooh, itchy foot. That doesn't mean I'm coming into money, right? That's the palms. Hey. Well, let's hope so. It's the first side-scrolling, typical style of Mario game since, I think, Super Mario Wii U or something like that. One of those ones, which was pretty much a decade or more previous to this one, so it had been a while. The story behind Wonder is that Mario and his friends are invited to the Flower Kingdom for a visit by Prince Florian, who rules over the Flower Kingdom. There is something called, I think it's the Wonder Seed, which is this magical item that is able to warp realities in certain ways. But of course, Bowser shows up, crashes the party, steals the Wonder Seed, and with its power, transforms himself. He becomes one with the castle in the Flower Kingdom and basically takes over the Flower Kingdom and enslaves all of its citizens and is causing all sorts of chaos. So, of course, Mario and Luigi and all of their friends decide to help out. So, it's the same style, like you have a map and you have to go to these different areas of the Flower Kingdom, these different zones, and play through all the levels. And then when you beat the final level in that part of the kingdom, you gain a royal seed. Now, once you gain a royal seed, it attacks Bowser's castle that he has become and takes away one of the tethering weird chains that is holding his power to the castle. So I think there's maybe 6 royal seeds you have to collect, somewhere in around that, a half dozen give or take. That once you go through all these different areas of the kingdom, gain that royal seed, finally break all the tethers around Bowser in this castle he's become, you can then enter the castle and take the final fight to Bowser, and of course save the Flower Kingdom and all of its people. So it was a pretty typical style Mario side-scrolling game. There were some different things to it. You could earn these badges that would give you a power. You could equip 1 badge per level. Like, for example, a badge would allow you to fall into a pit but be rescued once per level, sort of thing. It would allow you to double. Was there a double jump one? Something like that. All these different kind of abilities that you could equip with these badges that might help in certain levels more so than others. So you had to kind of be strategic with it. We didn't get so much into the badges. We always had one equipped, but we usually had the same one equipped. We didn't kind of plan our strategy around the whole badge usage, but something a little different to keep the game fresh compared to past games. But in typical Mario Brothers game style, the thing is visually stunning, of course. The gameplay is amazing. They know what they're doing with the Mario Brothers games by now. You know you're always going to get a solid game. Even if it's similar to a previous game, you know you're going to get a new adventure that is smack on in all of the categories of gameplay that it needs to be, right? So definite, if you have a Switch and you like Super Mario Brothers, put this on your list. The only thing I don't like about the Super Mario Brothers games and the Donkey Kongs and the Kirby's and whatever is that on the Switch, they're always at like $80. They very rarely ever drop in price. Only like if they have a sale before Christmas or on Boxing Day or Black Friday or something, you might be able to get $20 off, maybe 30 if you're lucky. So I don't like how they hold their value for so long, because in this day and age, you know, with everything being so expensive, like fuck $80 for a fucking video game, right? It is what it is. Last up, I downloaded this digitally on the PS4. It came out right near the end of September, late September sometime, and the game in question is called The Karate Kid Street Rumble. I've recently seen a lot of videos on YouTube about a bunch of upcoming new games that are done in an old pixelated style, side-scrolling beat-em-ups for a whole bunch of franchises I grew up loving. So there's lots more to come when they are eventually released. Karate Kid was one of the games on this list, and it is probably the one I was least looking forward to. So I like how they're releasing them kind of in the order I from lowest to most wanted, kind of, it seems to be, which is nice. So there's going to be more games this style that I'm going to be reviewing eventually, but this was the first one of this new kind of run they have, and it basically follows the storyline of not just the first Karate Kid movie, but the next 2 as well. I remember seeing Karate Kid 2 as a kid. I don't remember exactly what the plot was, but I remember liking it, not nearly as much as the first movie. And then I don't think I ever saw the third movie, and I'm guessing it's probably not that great. But this game loosely traverses the events of those 3 movies, from when Daniel LaRusso first moves to LA and meets Mr. Miyagi and becomes a karate master because these Johnny Lawrence and his Cobra Kai or whatever are oppressing him, and it goes through the game. So this game is a lot of fun. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. I think there's about a dozen of the regular side-scrolling beat 'em up levels, and then there's about a half dozen levels that take the form of mini games interspersed between the levels here and there. So in total, you got 18 to 20 levels, I think it was. I don't remember exactly. So the game has some decent length, and the levels themselves, other than the mini games, which are short, are fairly lengthy as well. So you do get, for a small, simple side-scrolling beat 'em up, you do get a fair amount of game length out of this, and it's a lot of fun too. I wish there were maybe some weapons you could pick up and use, but there are no interactive kind of things like that. I think that would have gone a long way, because it's always fun to clobber somebody with like a fucking garbage can or a baseball bat, right? But Daniel LaRusso has honor, and he relies on his fists and his crane kick, right? So yeah, you just traverse your way through these levels and make your way through the events of the 3 movies and beat the final boss in the end, and you've won the game. Not a lot of extras went into this game. You can't really unlock much or anything. There's some gallery work and stuff like that. And it has a couple extra modes, like it has an arcade mode where you have to play through the whole thing in one shot. It has a minigame mode where you can go in and just play the mini games that you run into in the story mode on their own sort of thing. So it's not a huge game, but it's also not a super short game. You can probably get through it pretty quickly if you tried, but there's enough game there to make it worth purchasing. Now, I think when I bought it, it was around $50. So I would, if I were you, I would put it on your wish list and maybe wait for a drop, because I don't think it's $50 worthy. I'd say $30 at most, maybe, if you want my opinion. But either way, super fun game. If you like that old style side-scrolling beat 'em up type game, you're probably really gonna like this. And if you like the Karate Kid, obviously you probably have to get it, because I have seen that there are some older Karate Kid games, but from everything I've seen online in terms of reviews of those games, they didn't do that great. They weren't that good at games. So this might be the Karate Kid game all the Karate Kid fans out of there were finally waiting for. So, but that's it. That's my 5 things. I've already got started on the next 5. So I will continue to work on the remaining 4, and I will be back at your ass very soon with a different hockey jersey on. Until then, peace, suckers!
Meow.